Hello, my friends. I am so excited about this podcast. This is my first guest, and she is absolutely awesome. I can't wait for you to hear our conversations together. So, whether you're in the industry or you're not in the industry, please like, subscribe, and share. All right, let's get started. If we could start off by if you give us your name, the company you work for, and how long you've been there.
Well, thanks. Thanks for inviting me on today. It's really an exciting opportunity for both of us. My name is Cinda Wilson, and I work for Equity Lifestyle Properties, and I've been with them for 10 years, not only as a community manager, but now in sales.
Wow, that's awesome. And where are you located, Cinda?
Right now, I'm in Brooksville, Florida, Cloverleaf Farms. I have helped and been involved in most of the Leesburg area properties, which we have many of. Equity Lifestyle is the number one in the nation in this industry.
Awesome. That's great. What a great company to work for.
Yes, it is.
Can you share a little bit about your upbringing and what drove you? Was this the industry that you wanted to go into when you were younger, or what led you into this industry?
Well, I can't say specifically this industry. Um, I came from Kokomo, Indiana, the Midwest. So I have that very heavy work ethic.
Yes.
Um, I, I've had so many different career paths in my time of working. Um, but I think it was the Kokomo, Indiana, city of first. So I've always done first.
Yes.
Got to be not be first in everything, but if it's not there, I get it started. So
Nice.
that's a little bit about my background. I remember, I don't even know why my parents let me do this, but I was, selling the little seed packets at 8.
Uh-huh.
At 9, I was delivering newspapers. So
Wow.
3 a.m. I rode my bike down through the steel mill to
Wow.
go to a mobile home park to deliver
Uh-huh.
papers. I don't know why they ever allowed me to do that. You can't do that today. Do that today.
No, you can't do that today, but can you imagine if kids and generations of today had that kind of work ethic that you have that you were brought up with?
Yes. Yes. I'm at the end of the baby boomers, probably the greatest generation there is.
Right. I'd have to agree with you. The work ethic, absolutely. The commitment and dedication that your generation has, I agree with you 100%.
Yes.
So what happened that drove you into this industry?
Well, I my parents live in Leesburg, and so being the only daughter, the only girl of the granddaughters, the girls, everybody. It's my mom and stepdad, and they're in their late 80s, and being that I didn't have the family situation, I thought it best to be up in this area to help them age in place.
Wow.
And they're doing very well.
Excellent.
So
Excellent. That's
that's how I
great to
got
hear.
in the area. And the first things I saw available were the management positions at ELS.
Hmm.
One was an RV resort that I went and looked at, and I was in the RV for a little while. Did
Right.
not like that at all. I like the manufacturing homes better because it's not 24/7, 365 like RV.
Right.
And I applied. I remember the regional manager gave me a call,
Hmm.
and I said, I really don't want RV, I want MH. She said, come out and see us, please. So then I had a gal named Tony Collier from Mid Florida Lakes that came and interviewed me. And she had kind of a rough little park, and she nailed me. She said, "You're perfect for what I need now." So
Wow.
that's how I got into equity lifestyle properties, and just continued on.
You've been there ever since. Yes. What other roles have you had with ELS?
Mainly the community manager. Look, I've worn all the hats. I mean, when somebody's gone, I've went in and run the properties, and just you know, my I've
Right.
helped everyone along the way, and I absorbed it. Listen, the first thing she said to me was, I got in at Coachwood, and they had a couple, homes that she said, I said, I don't understand how you can sell these. You
Right.
can't, they're not even livable.
Right.
She said, Cinda, do you want me to do your job? Because people buy these every single
Yes.
day. I
Yes.
don't care if you got to get out on the corner and sell juice boxes. And man, that day I realized what it was all about, and I had all the homes sold within a week or so. So
Wow.
he just motivated me to, you can sell those.
Right. That is absolutely amazing. What a great story. How
Well, and that was
inspiring.
my first nickname, Juice Box.
Juice box. I like it. All right, juice box. All right, so talk to me about, as you know, this podcast is about empowering women in our industry and creating change.
Mhm.
Talk to me about some of the barriers that you faced as a woman in this industry.
Well, I think you know, the male roles, it's changing, of course. They don't seem to take women as serious
Right.
about pretty much anything. I mean,
Mhm.
not, it's been a male role, male
Right.
dominated role, but that's a lot of that has changed in the last few years. It's in the 10 years I've been here, I've seen it change dramatically.
And what changes have you seen?
I see more women getting the community manager positions, more women in sales, more women taking being more assertive in the industry.
Right. Right. Have you personally faced any barriers as a woman trying to rise in this industry?
Well, you know what? I'm not so sure, uh, even as much as being a woman, but I've faced a lot of barriers, a lot, because they, gosh, there's so many, so many.
Give us
In,
one or two. Expand on some of them.
if I want to get something done, or I reach out to, uh, to get some help, let's just say the sales end of it, the operations end of it need to
Right.
work more closely together. That's a huge one.
Right.
That's a huge barrier in seeing what each side does, because the whole process has to work together.
Right. And do you think there's a barrier there because the operations side doesn't know what the sales side does?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
There's a big, big opportunity there to enhance that
Right.
between both departments.
And
So
how,
I would think that some of your communities do it well.
right?
The others just need to be taught.
So, you being a female, obviously in the industry, have you had any female mentors in our industry or somebody that you looked up to or that has supported you along your career path?
Yes, I've had many, too many to name, I think. Tony Collier, of course, was the first. Um, but you have to get to know, all of those that you deal with, whether it's in the titles, whether it's accounting. Accounting is, especially to get into this industry, you should know a little bit about bookkeeping.
Hmm.
That's going to help you tremendously. And so your resources.
Right.
You need those resources of everybody involved. It may be was a little bit easier for me as a community manager than it is if you're directly just getting into sales because you have access to so much other information.
Right.
But let's say you're dealing with um, even title work, things like that, the new homes coming in. Make sure you know that person that's in your area to be able to connect with them and connect with as many as you can.
Mm. So tell me, what did Tony do to guide you or to be your mentor in this industry?
Well, Tony just didn't cut any bones about anything. She just laid it down. This is, this is your job. This is what you need to do.
Right.
And I learned from all of the other, I relied on the other managers that were already in place.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't worry about who I was going to call. And of course, your weekly meetings, if you hold weekly meetings with your the the other properties that are around,
Right.
you're going to learn from every single one of them.
Right.
You
Right.
may learn bad things, but that's going to help you too. And listen, it's not you don't worry about making mistakes. Don't hold back. You've
Right.
got to make your own mistakes. They're not mistakes. They're opportunities for learning.
I love that. And I've keep hearing that more and more often, especially from Caesar. He tells me that all the time. He's like, it's never going to be perfect. Just do it.
Never just do it.
So,
I remember training one of the community managers and showing him how to do something on the computer. He was afraid to hit the button. I
yeah.
said, hit that button. Let me tell you, ELS has more people, more resources than you can imagine. That's what they pay people for, to fix your mistakes. Or,
Right. Right.
so don't be afraid to do something.
Why do you think people are afraid to just take the jump? I mean, obviously you're not. And growing up, you took the jump. I mean, at 8 years old, you were handing out newspapers. Um,
Don't listen. I I I don't think I can really answer that because
mhm.
I've been in so many different situations.
So, for new people, for women that are coming into our industry, what advice can you give them other than just jump in and do it?
Um, you just first of all, you want to, as you get in there, find your own brand. Find out,
Mhm.
know who you are or what, even maybe write yourself a little mission statement.
Right,
You can find the one ELS had, you can use your own.
right,
Um, don't forget your firm handshakes.
right.
That can be one of the worst. Be be among the first to speak up.
Okay,
If you don't understand something, don't think that it's like they always say, there are no stupid questions. There are always
right.
opportunity. So do not be afraid. If you're questioning something, ask. It doesn't matter how small it is, just ask.
Right, right,
Someone's out there in your group that
right,
knows.
right.
Um, yeah.
Let me ask you this.
Mhm.
How could we as women in this industry better support each other and encourage each other to do well, right? To do well like the men in this industry do.
I think continuing with things like this, with these podcasts, with making sure they have the information, you can reach out to anyone, you
Right.
know. Um, I had it's good to, especially if you're in leadership, to make sure your own people are being well taken care of.
I agree. I agree. What unique perspective do females bring to our industry?
Oh, well, first of all, most of the females are more mature. They're
Yes,
much more empathetic.
absolutely.
they're better conversationalists, not always, but for the
Right.
most part. And I think that's what they bring to the table for this.
Yeah, I agree.
Men sometimes like to just, now I'm on them, I would like to jump right in,
Hmm.
but women can listen more. It's
Yeah.
just like when you have the challenges of the customer that comes in screaming and yelling, or you just sometimes they just want you to listen.
Right. Right. Absolutely. So
Listen and hear what they're saying.
right. So speaking of angry customers, right? You have angry customers. The house isn't going to be delivered on time. They got denied on their application. How do you handle all that? How do you handle all that stress, or how do you help other people in your office handle that kind of stress? Because it is a stressful job.
It's not easy, but again, if you listen, try to hear what they're saying and try to find a solution to the problem, because it's just a problem,
Right.
another opportunity.
Right.
Um, have I always done that?
Maybe
But
not.
that's that's I have found that if you try to understand where they're coming from, it's much easier.
Right. That's another thing that Caesar likes to say is we don't sell houses, we solve problems, right? And so that's
Yes.
exactly ties into what you're saying, solving
Yes.
problems for them, letting them know that you care, sympathy, listening to them. I think probably about 95% of what the sales people do is listening, right? Listen to what
Yes.
the customer wants, make that connection with them. So do you see the stress levels high there in your area, in your office?
You know what? Not really, because we try to all work together and keep a positive attitude and try to make each day good.
Right, right.
We do a lot of laughing and a lot of eating here, so we try to not let anybody burst your bubble. You
That's
know,
great. That's great. I want to come work there just because of the eating part.
come on,
And the
come,
laughing. That's great.
right?
What do y'all
Yeah.
do for team building? Do y'all do team building and bonding?
Uh, yes, we do. It's called eating.
And laughing together.
We
I
did a
love
lot
it.
of birthday lunches.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So it's a small group. So
Right.
you don't, and again, like we said with sales and ops, working together with the maintenance department in, getting the home set up.
Right. Right.
We're really doing a lot better job on that.
That is awesome. So I have one last question and we can kind of wrap this up. Um, for women, we tend to wear a lot of hats, right? Mom, sister, daughter, friend, wife. What And I know for women we tend to not pay attention to self-care, right? We always put ourselves
That's
last,
correct.
right? We put everybody else
Yes.
first. And even earlier I was doing an interview and they kept saying, but you're not answering the question. We want to know about you. What is you? What are you? Who are you? And I had a hard time answering that because for me, I am the wife, the mom, the daughter, a friend, whatever everybody else needs. I forget who I am sometimes, right? So
Yeah.
tell us who you are and how you balance all that. How do you balance time for yourself where you withdraw from what you do, you take away the stress? How do you handle that?
Well, I'm not an expert at that at all. Okay. And up
Most
until
women aren't.
I would say the last 5 years,
Hmm.
I've really focused on that. Um, you have to have some downtime for yourself. You have to take care of yourself. You have to, but it's easier for me because I don't have the family, I don't have the kids. I have been married to my job for 50 years,
Wow.
working,
Right.
you know, but
Right.
that's what I knew. That's what I liked. That's what I enjoyed.
Right.
So, um, but I think the biggest thing is just trying to keep that positive attitude.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, that would be a question for some other gals that have experienced all of that.
What 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 I find ironic about it, right, is everyone always says you have to take care of yourself because if you're no good, you're no good to anybody else. Well, that's why I'm struggling because I am for everybody else, right? And I forget to
Yes.
take time for myself.
I will say that ELS does a great job of that because they encourage you to take that time off, even though on the
You
front
don't.
lines it's not they don't know everything. If you're on the front line, your boots on the ground, and you experience all of that.
Right.
Um, but they do give you plenty of time to take, even mental health days.
Oh, that's great.
So they do that. And then my last thing, and it will be a challenge to all of you. I challenge you to stand on one leg for 10 seconds,
Okay.
each leg.
All right.
And let me tell you, it's not that easy. I've been doing it this week. It's almost
Wow.
like Tai Chi. You got to
Yeah.
balance out.
You got to balance. Yeah.
Pretty cool.
Well, Cinda, I want to thank you so much for being a guest on our podcast. And the most exciting thing is you're our first guest, and I love it. And I can't wait to see where this podcast transpires, how it goes, the changes, and hopefully it'll affect a lot of women in our industry and help us connect better and empower each other more. So thank you so much for taking the time to do this. I really appreciate it. And you.
Thanks for inviting me. I enjoyed it.
Yes, thank you.
Have a great day.
You too.